What's up, my friends? Welcome back to our set review, complete set review, core set 2021. We did white, now we're about to do blue. And if you're watching on YouTube, missed white, go watch it. It's on the playlist, like somewhere on the screen. We're doing blue to a full set review. Every single card. Every card. Constructed focus, but limited as well. Obviously, some cards are not meant for constructed. And we're just going through. We're going to do our best in show, of course, for every color. And if you missed any of this up on YouTube, full set review. Also, quick reminder to everyone, early access stream is June 24th. I'll be doing my 10 new brews, or I build 10 new decks. Super awesome. I always do this 10 new brew thing every set. Probably my favorite piece of content that I do. So check it out. Excuse me. That'll be June 24th, 10 new brews. All right, let's go. Blew it up. Best color in Magic. We just did white. They gotta fix white, you know? Let me tell you, white, poor white. It's left out in the cold all the time. Let's start with Baron Tolarian Archmage. Start with a legend here. Blue 1 for a 2/2 legendary wizard. Pretty standard stuff. Comes into play, bounce a creature or a planeswalker. So kind of like a Man of War, Aether Adept kind of card. And it says that at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent was put in your hand from the battlefield, draw a card. So this is like, Man of War plus. This is a Man of War effect. It can bounce planeswalkers also, which is like, it's fine. It's a bit of an upgrade for sure. But the second ability here, whenever you bounce your own stuff, you get to draw a card. So kind of weird. This is a weird effect because it triggers off a lot of like weird things. Like, for example, bounce lands, Azorius Chancery. Now you draw a card off it, which is kind of cool. You can Teferi bounce your own stuff. Ninjas, Ninjutsu. A lot of things going on that you can do that bounce your own things, or you could just actually use the ability and bounce your own Omen of a Sea. Or what? Actually, I'm sorry, you can't bounce that one. Bounce your own whatever. Teferi, sure. Use Teferi to bounce Omen of a Sea, and then use this to bounce a Teferi, so you can recast everything. So a lot of cute stuff happening here, but it doesn't really seem like super playable and constructed. I'm not really sure what you'd want this against. Like Man of War, Reflector Mage, now we're talking 3 toughness, extra ability on there. But it's okay. I mean, it's kind of cool. The Yorion. It's just a fine card. I don't really know. It's the kind of card where it's got enough words on it. It's reasonable, but I don't really know if it sees play constructed. Definitely a good limited card for sure. Nice options here. You can bounce your own stuff. You can bounce their stuff. So, very solid limited card. Yeah, just go a weird card. Definitely this is not Venser, Shaper, Savant. If this had Flash, we'd be talking. This card would be phenomenal if it had Flash. I guess it could bounce itself too. Or it can't do that. No, I can't do that. Never mind. But, yeah. If this card had Flash, we'd be talking. But without Flash, Cancel. I'm not going to discuss this card. It's been in every set ever. You know what it does. There's better versions of it. Whatever. Capture Sphere. Of course, this card was in Ikoria. Not playable constructed. A very solid kill spell unlimited. That's basically it. Giving this Flash and the ability to tap the creature makes it pretty worthwhile. These effects were not that good historically until they added the tap effect and the Flash effect. So good limited kill spell for sure. Oh boy. Okay, so Discontinuity. Time Stop is back. 1 extra blue in the cost. But end the turn is the text on this card. So what does that mean? It means the turn ends, I guess. End the turn. Exile all spells, exile all abilities. Everything wears off, everything goes away. Discard a hand size. That's it. We're done. It's over. Important to note, this is like a counterspell and a time walk. So like on their turn, they play a spell. If you cast this card, their turn ends and their spell goes away. It does exile the cards, so it can counter uncounterable things. Against a card like Ulamog, you counter the Ulamog and the trigger at the same time. So Time Stop is a pretty cool effect. It just costs 6 mana, which is really expensive. But this card says it costs 2 mana on your turn. Why would you want to do that? You could find reasons, if there are like detrimental end step effects. Sundial of the Infinite was a card, kind of like a cute card. It does not have split second, no. It's still a regular spell being cast. So, this is like an Ali Antrazi card. This is not really a me card. You know, you can do some weird stuff with this thing. You can, like, have detrimental end step triggers you skip. Pack protection. It does stop Sharknado, which is cool. It stops lose the game effects. This is not the new Nexus of Fate, because it doesn't shuffle in. So, it is obviously interesting with Gear Hulk, though, in older formats. Pretty cool. Definitely a weird card. You can keep temporary tokens, attack with Ice Saint Draft, end the turn. A lot of weird stuff here. A lot of weird stuff. This is probably more of like a fun card than a serious competitive card, but definitely does a lot of different things. It's a pretty wild one. And honestly, you can just like use it. Say you attack with stuff and the combat goes really bad for you. End the turn. Forget it. You know? So, definitely a weird card. Pretty cool. Definitely a card you want to keep an eye on. That is true, actually. You can keep Euro. So you can Euro, draw a card, gain 3 life, and then in response to a trigger that would make Euro sacrifice, just cast this. This is like a 5 mana Euro. That's fine. But, pretty wild card here. Pretty wild card. I guess it's playable in Limited. It's going to make some weird stuff happen for sure. Definitely a really weird card. Enthralling Hold, 5 mana. Enchant creature. You can't choose an untapped creature as this spell's target as you cast it. Enchant, you control enchanted. So it's a really bad mind control. Probably still pretty good in Limited because mind control is busted in Limited. But very conditional here. Unfortunately, you can't push through a blocker. And you won't have a blocker when you steal it, which is kind of eh. But it's a card. It's a good Limited card. Control Magic's always good in Limited, no matter what. And then Constructed, no way. Pat, thanks for the resub. Appreciate that. Frantic Inventory. This is an exciting one. Accumulated Knowledge is back. Like, they printed, what was it called? A sorcery speed version of Accumulated Knowledge. Of course, that's a classic tournament card. This is the fixed version. So the AK counted all of the Accumulated Knowledges in all graveyards, which is really, really dumb. So your opponent would go AK, you play an AK and draw 3. They play an AK and draw 4. You play an AK and draw 5, which is stupid. Just things shouldn't count all things like that. As we know now from slivers and global pump effects, things like that. So this is just AK for your graveyard. And AK was a serious tournament card back in the day. Often played alongside Intuition, which is an instant that gets 3 cards. 2 go to the graveyard, 1 go to your hand. Obviously very good with this, but this is definitely a card. I imagine this card could definitely see some serious play. Take Inventory was a sorcery, and sorcery is too clunky for this kind of effect. But definitely will get a lot better if you're playing discard effects. If you can get the first one in your graveyard, so the second one draws 2, that's really, really good. But definitely a cool card. Could be a cool card in Limited. The Simic mechanic is about drawing at least 2 cards at a turn, just like the mechanic from Eldraine, right? I don't know why it's the Simic mechanic, but definitely very good there, of course. But yeah, definitely a real card. Real cool to see AK back. The fixed AK. They tried the sorcery one. It worked out, so now they feel safe at the place to make the instant version. Cool card. Frost Breath. Another reprint. We've seen this before. This is a limited card if you need a finisher. If you're an aggro deck, this is, Blinding Beam for the most part, old school. And, it's just a draft card. If you're an aggro deck, works. If you're like a real late game, like Rampy control deck, and you need to just buy time, you can do that too. But just your average, like, mediocre limited card. Ghostly Pilferer, 2 mana for a 2/1. When it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 to draw a card. Interesting. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. Pretty cool. Things like Light Up a Stage or Flashback. Kind of a weird ability. It's almost like better in older formats. But real. It's text. It's definitely real text. And then this also has the discard a card : ability. And that's interesting. Like, another one of these Madness Enablers? What's our next set? Like Zendikar, right? Kind of weird. But discard a card can't be blocked. So, interesting. It feels like a lot of stuff happening, but nothing really exciting. I don't know what deck wants this card. It is a spirit. It's a rogue. Those are like reasonable creature types, but we had a card similar to this in, I think it was Innistrad or something like that. It's a Skulk or something like that, but it's a cool card. I doubt it'll see play, but it's definitely a cool card. Very good limited card. It's an interesting card, for sure. Jeskai Elder, reprint. This card's okay. Prowess 2-drop, not super exciting. You deal damage, you get to loot. This card could see play constructed if looting is important or prowess is important, but it's a card. And limited, kind of hard to make this card good. You gotta have a lot of spells, really, with prowess. And even then, it's kind of like mopey. Just like a medium mopey card. It's okay. Keen Glide Master. 2-mana 2/1. Gives you flying. This is your bread and butter limited 2-drop with ability that can help end the game in the late game if you're a flooded card. So okay, 2-drop. It's fine. It's a card. It's a card. Library Larcenist. 3 mana for a 1/2. This is a different take on the Ophidian Scroll Thief kind of school of cards. This is only a 1/2, not a 1/3. Pretty big downgrade because you can't attack into bears. But this one, whenever it attacks, you draw a card rather than whenever you deal damage to a player. So you'll always get the card, but it's not going to like win a combat ever. So it seems kind of mopey. I mean, if you're playing on a pump spells in your blue-green like double draw trigger deck, sure, but not very exciting. There is a aura that gives flying, which we'll get to, which would be pretty good on this, but this card needs extra help for sure. Lofty Denial. This card's sweet. 2 mana instant. It's a 4 spike, so counter pay 1. But if you control a creature with flying, it's a 2 mana Convolute. This card's pretty real. 2 mana 4 spike in the early turns is like already fine enough, but having a flyer is not hard, and getting to play a super mana leak in your like beatdown flyer deck, really good. I think this card's awesome. I think this card's going to be very, very good if, of course, there's a flyer deck. But there are a lot of flyery synergy cards in the format right now. The past core set had them. Skycat Sovereign and Ikoria. Tons of pieces. And this card fits right in. This is the exact piece of interaction that a cheap aggro deck needs to beat the overpowered cards that come on turn 4, 5, and 6 and stuff like that. So it ain't mana leak, but it's almost better if you're a flyer deck, and that's a huge game. And I love the design of this card. You know, mana leak may be a little too good, but if you want to go through some hoops and play crappy flyers, this is great. Definitely like this one a lot. And then limited, this card seems pretty good too, honestly. 4's a lot. 4's a lot, you know, so it's going to counter things most of the time. Miscast, like the Super Spell Pierce, only counters instants and sorceries, but counter unless you pay 3. So this card is similar to Dispel and Spell Pierce. Can't counter Planeswalkers, which really is a huge damper on the card, but it's definitely, or enchantments, that's a big one too. But if you're playing like a super spell-based thing, you know, this is, I mean, if you're playing all instant sorceries, it's better than Spell Pierce, right? Is it better than Dispel in formats where Dispel is legal? It's a card, you know, it fits into that paradigm of like 1 mana conditional counter spells, and those are usually pretty good, but definitely it needs to fill a certain need, and this card's totally unplayable and limited. Missile Slinger, cool draft card, 2/2 flyer, reasonable, prowess, reasonable, just a solid draft coming, for sure. Opt is back. You know what Opt does. I know what Opt does. Everyone knows what Opt does. Pursued Whale. 7 mana for an 8/8. Why is it an octopus? We got an octopus here? Huh? Come on. Seriously. 8/8 for 7. When it comes into play, each opponent makes a 1/1 red pirate token. Can't block, and it has goad or whatever, where it makes it so all creatures have to attack every turn. Kind of cute, like Moby Dick reference here. Pretty cool top-down design. And spells your opponent cast that would target this cost 3 more to cast. Doesn't help against Teferi or Conqueror's Death, obviously, because we're going to keep saying those cards over and over and over again. So probably not a constructed card. Pretty fun card, though. Pretty fun card. Definitely a bomb and limited. And with a lot of the limited kill spells costing 4, 5, and 4 and 5, you're going to run into some spots where you can't kill this, and you got to suicide your team into it, and it's going to feel pretty bad. So definitely a limited bomb. Not really constructed playable, but cool card. Cool card. Rain Revelation. So this is a card that was in Modern Horizons, and it felt like the kind of card they wanted to put in Modern Horizons. It was a little too good for Standard, maybe, but they put it in there, tried it out. I like this card a lot. This card compares pretty favorably to Glimmer of Genius, Chemist's Insight, all those kind of cards. Sift was a sorcery and saw a tiny bit of play in Standard back in the day. And then, of course, if you discard a card that has value, the AK, a reanimation target, pretty good. So there are reanimation spells in this format. And the ability to go hold up a counterspell, end step cast this, pitch your thing, untap, reanimate it is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So Instant Speed Sift, this might look like a silly limited card. This is a possible constructed playable card. Absolutely. I like this card a lot. When I saw this card in Modern Horizons, I liked it a lot. And I thought to myself, I would like this card in Standard. It's pretty sweet. And here we are. And then limited, this card's phenomenal. It's basically just draw 3. Because you pitch an extra land to it. Really awesome card. Splashable, powerful, super, super solid card. Read the Tide, 6 mana, sorcery, draw 3, or bounce 2 creatures. I thought it was 3 creatures. This card sucks. This is the kind of card, it can be the top end in your draft deck, I suppose, but can't really imagine why this card in my deck. I actually, when I first glanced at it, thought it was bounce 3 creatures, which is, fine, I guess. It's like a Killing Stroke, or if things are grindy, a card draw spell, but I don't think you want this card in your deck unless you're ramping. If you're a blue-green deck, it has a lot of mana acceleration, things like that, sure, but you got to be pretty committed to making good use of this, or I'm not really excited about it. The bounce effect is pretty weak, so not super exciting. Rewind is back. I remember when I think it was 8th edition came out, they did a vote. And it's funny, actually. A lot of the most hated cards in Modern, everyone complains 8th edition was shouldn't be in Modern. It's Blood Moon, Choke, Boil, Ensnaring Bridge, all these awful cards. And they had votes for all those cards. And Blood Moon beat out Dwarven Miner or something like that. Ensnaring Bridge beat out Static Orb or something like that. And somehow, some way, Rewind beat Dismiss. Those who don't know, Dismiss is the same mana cost, counterspell, draw card. Hugely played card back in the day. The most common mode on Cryptic Command, counter draw. So, huge upset back then in the day. And people were like, how could this possibly beat Dismiss? But Rewind's pretty cool. Obviously plays very well with Rain Revelation. It's an okay card. It's obviously with Teferi legal, this card's probably not going to see much play because your counter's supposed to be really, really good. But being able to counter their spell and play a card draw spell is pretty sweet. Obviously, pretty awesome with Night Pack Ambusher and the Simic Flash deck. Dimir Flash kind of thing too, but as long as Teferi is legal, we're probably not putting this card in our deck, but it's definitely a cool card. It's definitely a pretty cool card. Don't think you want it limited. It's pretty hard to make use of a 4-mana counterspell unlimited, but definitely an interesting tool to have constructed. Oh, I love Riddle Form. I am a huge fan of this card. One of the problems Prowess threats have is they're often creatures, right? So for every Monastery Spear, or Soul Scar Mage, or Storm Chaser Mage, or whatever you put in your deck, it's one less spell to make them better. So you kind of do a struggling act of trying to balance putting enough threats in with enough non-creature spells. This is both. This is a non-creature spell that is self-perpetuating. It's also a threat. I love this card. I think this card's freaking awesome. I've played this card a lot. I'm a huge fan of it. A 3/3 flyer for 2 is awesome. If you're flooding, you can scry. I'm just a huge fan of this card in Constructed. I think it's awesome. In Limited, you got to be able to build around it, but you can definitely do it, possibly. But in Constructed, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Big fan. I'll be seeing you in the early access stream Riddle Forms. We're definitely building a Riddle Form deck. Roaming Ghostlight. 5 mana, 3/2 flyer. Comes into play, bounce and non-spirit. This is a solid draft card. A really solid draft card. A 3/2 flyer for 5. Not the best in Limited, but a tempo swing on a 3/2 flyer. Awesome. Awesome. Great limited card. Great draft card for sure. Good tempo, good flyer. Works out really well. Rookie mistake. What a rookie mistake. This card's pretty good. I'm a huge fan of 1-mana tricks in limited. I'd much rather play a kind of like sneaky sly 1-mana trick than like a more powerful 2 or 3-mana trick, because it's very hard to play around 1-mana tricks. And they're very, very efficient. There's always some hole in your curve somewhere, and they're just really hard to play around. And this is a possible 2-for-1 for 1 mana. It's not going to happen every time, but if I have 2 bears and you have 2 bears and we get in combat, guess what? Both your bears are dead. Both mine are still alive. And for 1 mana, that's phenomenal. So, do you want 5 of this card in your deck? No. But if you're interested in creature combat and you have a decent amount of high power creatures or, things that don't kind of trade, this card's reasonable. This card's definitely reasonable. Watch out for this one. Because if you walk right into it, it'd be a real rookie mistake. Rousing Reed. 3-mana enchantment aura comes in play. You draw 2, discard 1. That's Sift, right? I'm sorry, not Sift. Catalog. Not a bad effect for 3-mana. It's not good, but not bad. And this also gives a creature +1/+1 and flying. So right away it replaces itself, right? And in limited, if you discard a land, this is like almost a divination that also gives a creature flying and a boost. This card is good. This card is really good. And especially with the Simic theme being based around drawing extra cards and triggering stuff, this is a phenomenal limited card. And hear me out. I think this card could see play constructed. If there was some sort of deck that wanted to put cards in the graveyard, but was also pretty aggressive, this is not. I would not be. My mind would not be blown if it saw play constructed. The rate is there. The words are there. If we're discarding a card for value and drawing 2 cards and pumping our creature, it's obviously risky to get blown out with removal, but I'm just trying to explain to everyone how this card is that good. Super awesome limited card. Super, super awesome card. The Blue Shrine, Sanctum of Calm Waters, 4-mana enchantment, legendary enchantment, Shrine. Pre-combat main, you may draw X, where X is the number of shrines you control. You discard 1 card. So by itself, it just loots. Not very good. But as long as you have 1 other shrine in play, you're getting card advantage, and that's really good. And then obviously it just scales exponentially. Shrines are cool. I'm going to mess around with the shrines. I'm pretty interested in the shrines, honestly. And then the cool thing is that you're looting, so any extra shrines you draw, just pitch them. It's not up to. You go 0 or X. Yeah, you can draw 2 cards or none. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a cool card. Obviously not gonna play without shrines, but it's a cool card with a shrine deck. It's cool. In limited, I'd probably want a second shrine. You can't just play this card by itself. But Sieve of Truth. Everyone loves this card. But I am here to help you see the truth. This card isn't that good. 2-mana sorcery. It's basically Anticipate. Look at the top 3. 1 goes in your hand, rest at the bottom. So 2-mana sorcery speed Anticipate, not good. Anticipate is pretty bad. And as a sorcery, it's quite bad. So on face value, this card kind of sucks. However, if you cast it from anywhere other than your hand, you get to draw 3 instead. So everyone's like, Snapcaster Mage. I can do Snapcaster. I can draw 3 cards. The problem is the front side is just so freaking bad that it's just not good. So I think this card is playable if you are specifically able to bin it consistently and then cast it from the graveyard consistently. Does play well with Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. I'm a big fan of that card. Light Up a Stage works too. I think Finale of Promise works also. So there are ways to cast this in the graveyard. But I would only play this card if I was very, very consistently casting it from my graveyard and never casting the front side of it, because the front side is so bad. It's not the worst ever, but it's just not good. I just don't want to play this card. So, yeah, if we're discarding cards, we're making it happen maybe, but I think this card's pretty overrated. it definitely could see play, but it's going to take a lot to make this card see play. In limited, the card's pretty bad. You'll know if it's good limited or not, realistically. Shacklegeist, 2-mana, 2/2 spirit with flying. Pretty good. Can only block flyers, so it's a bit of a downside there. But tap 2 untapped spirits and tap a creature. This card's awesome. 2/2 flyer for 2 is already reasonable, but this sort of like, Glare of Subdual opposition effect is really, really good. If you're able to make some flyers, maybe you're playing Lingering Souls, maybe you're playing other crappy spirit token stuff or whatever, and if you need to, you beat. And if your opponent has a Euro in play, you tap it, and you tap the other creature or whatever. So, obviously, it's specifically for a tribal spirit deck, but in that specific scenario, it is quite good. Is Nibblegast Herald better? It's only got 1 toughness, costs 1 extra mana, requires you to keep casting spells. This card's probably better. I'm not sure. It's Flash too, though. I don't know. They're close. They're close for sure. So definitely very good limited too. Just 2/2 flyer over 2 is already fine, and then the ability if it comes up will be good too. So pretty cool card. Shipwreck Dowser, 5 mana for a 3/3 prowess. Comes into play. Return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Not playable constructed. Really good limited card. Woo! A really good limited card. You get to get back your kill spell and have a pretty solid threat. That's just awesome. So, obviously you'll need spell density for this card to be good, but this card is a real good limited card. Very, very good. Spined Megalodon. My 9-year-old is obsessed with Megalodon, so I gotta show this card to him. 7 mana for a 5/7 hexproof. That's a house. Whenever it attacks, scry 1. I mean, if your draft deck is looking for a way to win, here it is. Definitely a great finisher for control decks and drafts. This card's going to kill a lot of people unlimited. A lot of people. And the scry is just gravy, honestly. Late game scenario, scry land at the bottom. It's pretty great too. Definitely a really solid limited common. Definitely for control decks. This is for your, 9 creature, 6 removal spell, crazy spell. But yeah, good kill spell in a good kill spell. Good finisher in control decks limited. Uh-oh. Y'all know what time it is? What time is it? Say it in chat. Best of show. Our best of show for blue. Stormwing Entity. 5 mana. 5 mana. Elemental creature. This spell costs 3 less to cast if you cast an instant or a sorcery spell this turn. Flying, prowess, and when it ETBs, scry 2. They just keep stacking on the abilities. Take away prowess and ETB scry 2. I think this card still might be playable. As it stands, this card's awesome. Just super, super awesome. Play an opt, cast this for 2. It's great. Having prowess is awesome. Obviously, this wants to be played in a spell deck, so prowess is really, really good. This kills pretty quickly. You're not losing out too bad if they kill it because you just spent 2 mana on it. So pretty easy 2 mana 3/3 flyer. Of course, it's not a 2-drop. Let's get Taxian Probe is legal again for some reason, but realistically, this is a really good card. This is probably a card that'll see more play in Pioneer and Modern and older formats due to the prevalence of tons of really good cantrips. But I could see this card seeing play in almost all formats. Also cool, you can't Fatal Push it, which is very relevant in Pioneer, Modern. And yeah, Modern also has Manamorphose too. That's pretty cool. So yeah, this is my best of show for blue. I think this card's really, really good. I think it's playable in Standard, but even more exciting for older formats. This card is just... They just love putting ability on a card these days, you know what? That card's pretty good. Let's add an ability to it. That's a good idea. Yeah, sure. So, best in show, super awesome card. Really, really good. And then limited. This card is great in limited anyway. If this card didn't have the cost reduction effect, and it was just a flying prowess ETB scry 2, 3/3 fly over 5, that would still be a good limited card. This card's great in limited too. So, yeah. Super, super cool card. Best in show, Storming Entity. Yeah, really good card. Sublime Epiphany. This card's confusing. 6 mana instant. Choose one or more. Counter target spell. Stifle. Boomerang. Create a token that's a copy of a target creature you control. Target player draws a card. Definitely not really a constructed card, probably. I mean, maybe with like Gear Hulk or something. Like, it does a lot of things. It's more like a fun commander card. Just like bounce your thing, counter your thing, and stifle your ability, and very, very cryptic command. Yeah, exactly. But kind of a cute card. In limited, this card plays in limited for sure. This is like a pretty good top end card. In limited, this is like a good creature, a card draw, a counter spell, and a bounce for 6 mana. That's awesome for 4 effects. So definitely a cool limited card, fun commander card, things like that. But not going to see much play other. And yeah, I mean, and also Mystical Dispute still legal. Teferi, Master of Time. What do we need in Standard? Everyone, what do we need? We needed another Teferi. Absolutely, of course. Right? Everyone? Right? Everyone loves Teferi. Right? So Teferi, Master of Time, a 4 mana Planeswalker. It's got a passive. Everyone loves passives. You may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time, on any player's turn, anytime you can cast an instant. So my understanding is you can do it once in your turn and once on their turn. I believe that's correct. So obviously weird to evaluate because we've never had a Planeswalker activate twice per turn cycle rather than once. So pretty interesting card. Let's look at the abilities here. Three starting loyalty, not much. It can go right to, I guess, 5 technically. So the +1 is to draw a card and then discard a card. It's fine. It's not super exciting. We see this on, the Royal Scions, things like that. Not card advantage, unless we're discarding cards for super value. Another really good Madness Enabler, though. I don't know. There's a lot of Madness plants here. But if you're not discarding for value, this is a pretty mopey effect. It goes to graveyard, but it's whatever. It's okay. So, not super exciting. Then, -3, target creature you don't control phases out. Phasing is back. So, phasing, if I remember correctly, is you exile it, it like kind of just goes away for a turn, and it comes back on the next turn. So, that's a thing, I guess. It's not really like, it's not your typical -3, where it doesn't really remove anything from play. So even like a Planeswalker that comes in and bounces something, it still makes them recast it, Phasing is just going to come back. And I believe when it comes back, it has haste too, I believe. So for the -3, it's not really that good. It doesn't really deal with anything. So our +1 is okay. Our -3 is eh. And then our -10 for the ultimate is take 2 extra turns after this one. So, that part's good. But don't think Teferi Master Time is very good. I think it's okay. I think it looks like pretty bad. I think it's definitely a little better than it looks. But I don't think it's, particularly exciting unless you're making really good use of the first ability. So, putting cards in the graveyard value, maybe you're madnessing, maybe you're putting AKs in the graveyard, whatever it is. So, not super exciting, but I kind of like Planeswalkers like this. All the Planeswalkers in this set are pretty medium. They're fine, they do things, but they're not like, which I like, personally. I'm about that. Teferi's Ageless Insight, old man. 4 mana legendary enchantment. If you would draw a card, except the first one you draw, each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. This is like Commander, like win more kind of card. I don't think this card's particularly exciting. Tapping 4 for this and constructed, not okay. Not okay. Don't think it's really usable unlimited either. Not really think this is not really about this. So yeah, kind of whatever. Teferi's Protege, 3 mana for a 2/3 looter. Kind of similar to the Tapper, where it's like a pretty bad looter. It's a little better because there's no condition on it, but just a mediocre limited card. It's whatever. Teferi's Tutelage, 3 mana enchantment. Comes into play, you loot, and whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. We've seen this card a few times. Adding the loot to it's pretty good, actually. So it triggers immediately, and it gives a little extra value to it, but if there's a mill deck and it wants this card, cool. You can target yourself. Oh, never mind. Target opponent. That's the difference. So you can't target yourself like Drowned Secrets. So, not super exciting. Just a card. Mill's a keyword. Yay. Yay, mill's a keyword. Tide Skimmer. 2/3 flyer for 4. Whenever you attack with 2 more creatures of flying, draw a card. Solid limited card. Solid limited card. 2/3 flyer for 4 isn't that far off. And if you draw 1 card off of this, it's great. So, yeah, it's fine. It's a fine limited card. Tolarian Kraken, 6 mana for a 4/6. Whenever you draw a card, pay 1. When you do, you may tap or untap target creature. Just a fine limited card. Definitely has the ability to kind of like break board stalls, things like that. Not super exciting. Honestly, a little more excited about the Common Shark than this, as far as like a game-ending threat. But yeah, seriously, Homeboy is way bigger than a 4/6, right? Come on, look at that thing. It's toppling over an entire tower. It's got to be at least a 7/7. At least a 7/7. Tome Anima. 4 mana for a 3/3. Can't be blocked as long as you draw 2 more cards this turn. Cool synergy. Cool synergy card for the draw multiple cards deck, I suppose. It's fine. I don't know how good that deck's going to be, so it's hard to gauge this card, but it seems like a reasonable card if you're doing that. It's never going to be terrible. It's a 3/3 for 4 or whatever. Unsubstantiate. I think this card's actively very bad. It sees a little play in like, Storm and stuff. It's like a way to bounce things, but it can't even bounce non-creature permanents. It's not remand. We're not drawing a card here. Just card disadvantage. Just like not about this card. Definitely I guess you could play this in limited, but I'm not really happy about it. Just not a very good card. Violain Arcanist. 2 mana, 1/3 mana creature for instant sorceries. Limited card if you're looking to do that kind of thing. There's like an outside chance this could see play in Constructive, but probably not. Probably not. No, this is nothing like Aether Gust. Aether Gust is a 1-for-1 exchange. The card goes on top of their deck. They don't draw a card next turn, right? This is just, I bounce your thing. It's nothing. You're down a card. It sucks. Waker of Waves. 7 mana for a 7/7. Creature your opponent's control get -0/-0. Very good ability, limited. Very good ability. And you can cycle it, but you have to sleight of hand about the cycle. Definitely a fine limited card. It's fine. Definitely a good, control deck finisher. Now that's a 7/7. Yeah, now we're talking. And then Wall of Runes. 1 mana for an 0/4. Comes into play, scry 1. Again, not a card that would be insane to see play constructed. Max Teets, a good friend of mine, did top 8 and open once at the 0/4 Yoke Docks in his blue-white control sideboard. But it's a card. It's a card. And Wishcoin Crab. It's a vanilla bad creature. Whatever. That's blue. So, kind of middling Planeswalker. Pretty exciting elemental card. There were some cool cards. The AK. Some interesting counterspells. Interesting bounty cards. Pretty cool. But yep, that's blue. I need some water. YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe. Again, we have all the colors. The entire set reviews up on YouTube. Or it will be when it's not live now, in the present, in the future. YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe. Take 10 seconds. Helps me out a ton. Every video, hit like, hit subscribe, hit comment. And yeah, YouTube, I love you. Look for the other videos, all right?